everybody, and thank you for coming. Yeah, strange thing. I lecture more on digital dentures. We talked about this all day. These guys, these are my homies right here. They have gone and traversed my madness of a lecture schedule today. They've been at every single one. Look at it, they got a drink. That's what I want. I'm trying to work my way to the alcohol so I could get myself set back straight. And again, I was talking in some of the other presentations. If you guys seen me last night, I'd like to apologize right now. Just get that out of the way. But yeah, I'm doing a ton on digital dentures. And today we already talked about liquid carbon. We talked about the aesthetics of digital dentures and how to get the aesthetics of digital dentures. We talked a little bit about working with your partners in the industry to help alleviate some of the issues we have with labor right now, right? Massive issues. We all agree. It's been all day. Everybody's like, yep. Right? So what are you going to do to help offset that? It's not going to be bodies. So just stop looking. If you get lucky, one will come through. Most of them got a face tattoo and a couple of hearts down here, the teardrops, and they want $35 an hour to start and train, right? It's terrible. It's terrible. So what are we going to do? We're going to work with our partners, manufacturing partners in the industry, to kind of how to offset, take some of that stress away from us. Again, full disclosure, should be no surprise, I am a ceramist. Don't ask me about making a digital denture. I got no freaking clue. Don't ask me about border molds or post dams, anything like that. I have no idea. But what I do know is I'm a materials geek, right? I love that stuff. I love materials. I love workflows. I've worked with Argen for how many years? We've worked on the development of the zirconia. That's kind of what I do. That's like my favorite thing to do, is work on this stuff. So when I see something like this, I'm like, yeah, this is right up my alley. I don't know how to make a denture. When we talk about money, we just talked about this. Technicians don't like to talk about money. Dentists don't like to talk about money. That's why 80% of the labs in the US are less than $1 million a year, okay? We have to talk about money, but it's defined differently. So that was me a long time ago. A couple of things. So the starving artist, I had a dentist tell me I was a starving artist. He's like, oh, you're a starving artist. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I was super proud of myself. As far as I was concerned, as a ceramist, I had made it, my ship had come in, right? It's not a compliment, people. I couldn't buy food, right? Because I wasn't thinking about money or how to make money. It's not a bad thing to make money, right? So a lot has changed from when I was here. I mean, I still have the soul patch, okay? I shaved. I did shave this morning. No watch. I'm wearing a watch. The overgrown fingernails thing is kind of gross. Got to be honest. And when 3D printing, it's not new. It's been around forever, right? And I did a lecture here a long time ago. You guys might have even seen me show this slide right here. My first slide was printing is the future. This was the year in Chicago where it was all the hotness, right? Printing. Okay? So my first slide, I was on a lecture, and then I was on a panel discussion. My first slide is printing is the future. My next slide was do not buy a printer. Does anybody know why? How could I make, isn't that like, that's a conflicting statement, right? Like, what have I lost? I've lost my marbles. Like, Jack has gone off the deep end. Because you couldn't do anything with it. It was worthless. I'm sorry, I have no value in printing Eiffel Towers and Baby Yodas. That doesn't make me money. It's cute, but it doesn't make me money. I want a restorative material. That's what I'm chasing. I'm chasing a restorative material. Why do I want a restorative material? Because I want to make money with it. Avident was founded in 2011. Ivoclar launched milled dentures in 2018. In between, there was some attempts at 3D printing dentures. Very poor attempts. I was not interested in that crap. As much as I like to develop materials, and I started zirconia when zirconia was just, I mean, it came in one shade, which is just damn ugly. I'm not up for the challenge. I'm not a removable technician, so I'm like, whatever. Just leave that one alone. This was the big one. Dentsply partnered with Carbon and announced Lucitone 3D print in 2019. I will tell you right now, who's a removable technician first? All right, I got some. I love you guys. Who's doing digital dentures right now? All right, there should be a lot more. We'll see if we can get you guys there by the end. Who wants to do digital dentures? Yeah! All right, so I am going to help you do that, and we're going to get super, super good at them. This material, Lucitone Digital Print, LDP, I will tell you right now, will go down in the book of history of dental restorative materials as one of the greats. All right, like a lithium disilicate, or an aesthetic zirconia, right? There's all types of things that we can kind of say, okay, like in dentistry and through our careers, there were these materials that were developed. They were like, wow, that was a game changer. Hate to use the word game changer. It's super cheesy. This one was. And we jumped on board right away. I'll never forget, Conroy called me up. He's like, at first it was limited to only a certain amount of laboratories for the launch and the release. And he called me up. He took pictures of it. He wasn't supposed to. They're like, do not photograph this. He was like, and he was texting me. He's like, just bought a carbon. I'm like, what are you freaking crazy? What are we going to do? Baby Yodas? He's like, we're going to do digital dentures. And he was right. This has absolutely changed everything for us at the laboratory. But we have a completely different take than everybody else in the way that we do this. We don't do digital dentures. We don't look at it like you think we would look at it. We don't even call it a digital denture. We renamed it. We call it the Forever Denture, right? And the reason why was the early on attempts to produce a digital denture sucked so bad that there's this horrible like stigma around them that like everybody, so I ask everybody, why aren't you doing digital dentures? My dentists don't want to do them. Why are you asking your dentist? Right? Don't ask your dentist. Today, in our laboratory, all of our dentures are digital. That's it. It's a lot harder to actually do than I made it sound super easy right now, but that's what you do. I don't call them up and say, hey, do you mind with my business if I provide you this product out of my company that I own? No. Tomorrow, every denture we manufacture is digital. Why? Because I know, done my research, it's better, stronger, it's scalable, and there's literature to prove that. If you look here, we got printing, milling, and analog. Milling, our numbers, actually comes out higher than analog. We're not going to do analog anyways. And we're sure as hell not going to mill a denture regardless of what some people say in Chicago, because it's stupid. We'll talk about why. It absolutely infuriates me. It goes beyond all reason when we talk about milling a denture. So let's take the most inefficient equipment, process, and machinery we have and use that to produce a product that's one of my lowest selling products in the laboratory. Well, that's milling a denture. You could be milling out a hybrid for $5,000. Doesn't make sense. You can't scale it. This is our growth, monthly average, year over year. It was absurd. So we knew we were onto something. And a lot of that is how we approach it, right? So like Jeff said, I lecture over, my schedule's ridiculous. Spread it over 50 times a year. I lectured, like last week, I lectured to the UK, and then I had a study club over on the coast of North Carolina, and then I was on the plane to come see you fine folks here in Chicago, and as soon as I get back, I'm home for like a day, and then I'm back on the road. But I love it, right? Most of that is on dentures. When we're talking about digital dentures, we don't ask the doctor if he wants a digital denture. We ask him if he wants a digital workflow. You sell the workflow, not the denture, okay? You sell the workflow, not the denture. And when they see the workflow or you tell them about the workflow, it's like crack. I'm telling you, they can't lay off of it. So we're going to go through all of that today. My good friend and mentor, Dr. Will Martin, calls this disposable dentistry. Not because they're bad, because they're so good. If the patient needs a new denture, just throw it away. This is the same file, reprinted over and over and over again. It gives us a repeatability and a predictability that we've never had in dentistry. You just take it and hit print, and print again in a different base shade, and print again in a different base shade, and print again in a different base shade. How cool is that? He calls it disposable dentistry because he's like, well, if they need a new one, just throw it away. And he's exactly right. As far as aesthetics go, we talked about this earlier. My good buddy Jim Caruso and I were at a bar where all great dental ideas happen. That's what I was working on last night. Thank you very much. I was working. And he said, you know, he's like, I get you, brother, but they're freaking ugly. He was right. He was right, but they don't have to be, right? They don't have to be. I mean, I could do his ugly zirconia molar right now and use Argen HT Plus, or I could do a really good one using Argen HT Plus. It's not the material. It's never the material, okay? It's never the material. And you got a choice. You got choices in life. Now you got Lucitone Digital Print IPN Tooth. I'm going to share with you guys why that's super important. Or you could have carded teeth. I mean, I'm not really particular there one way or another, but the printing of the tooth solution, why they came out with Lucitone Digital Print for IPN teeth was because they had to. So if you're doing a maxilla and it's opposing natural dentition on the mandible, you know that you can't cut or customize the carded tooth libraries, right? You can't. So you have to do a customized occlusion. So then you have to print your tooth structure. We're not even going to mention milling a tooth structure. I'm going to get very angry because it'll be like, well, what about if we mill the tooth structure? No! Print the tooth structure. I love to print them. And of course, the material's validated on not only the carbon, but it's also validated on the Casiga. Okay? So you could print either way. And we'll talk about when you kind of know you're scaling your digital denture business, when to kind of lean on Argen, right? When not to. Maybe you lean on them all the way in the beginning. Maybe you pull back a little bit later, right? There's all these different things we're going to talk about as far as how do you use your third-party manufacturing partners and how it's a benefit for you. Of course, we know it's super strong. The workflows. This is what you're going to sell. This is the part that's like crack to a dentist. I got to tell you, when you look at the workflows, the denture is the denture. Who cares? It's a nice byproduct of the awesome workflows, the digital workflows. This has completely reinvented dentures for clinicians, right? We get the benefit of it because we're going to manufacture them digitally. But when we're working with the clinician, it's the edentulous immediate existing in duplicate workflows that they really light up over. We're not going to do edentulous so much. That's the rabbit hole. And we'll be there all day. What I can tell you is everybody gets hung up on scanning mucosa, right? Scanning the tissue this and scanning the tissue that. It's really got nothing to do with scanning the tissue. I can care less. I'm more so like, how are you going to get the bite? Something at least within reason, right? So it's not just a disaster when we go back to the mouth. It's about the bite. I'm always chasing the bite. So unfortunately, a dirty word, bite rim, a dentulous case, that's how we kind of start their life. And then as soon as they do the rim, then they can go ahead and scan it and you take it digital, right? But unfortunately, it kind of sort of still exists. It just won't die. We're going to talk about some studies, and that's where I get really frustrated because that's where this argument of milled versus printed comes. And I tell everybody, it's from one horrible paper that was written years ago. There's a lag in research papers. It takes a long time to get something published from the time you start writing the paper. I know, I got 2 of them out there that are still not published, right? To the time the data is actually in print. The materials and advancements are happening faster than we can go ahead and do the research, right? That's kind of where it is. So you get this bad data that comes out. And it's frustrating to me because just in the study alone, I would tell you is invalid the day it was printed. And actually, this is all you guys are catching on, which I love and you have my heart for, because you're figuring out why I say that. You're figuring it out on your own. So Dr. Ludlow is going to do this case. It always comes up, milled dentures fit better than printed dentures. That's the paper that I'm referring to and referencing. It's not true. It's not true. This is a perfect example. So Dr. Ludlow is going to design his case himself. It's going to be, this was the University of Utah. Diastema, kept it, super sexy. There's nothing sexier than a diastema, right? And we're like, oh, we close them up. Or even you meet somebody, you're talking to somebody, they're like, oh, I don't like my diastema. I'm like, no, no, no. Keep that. That's super sexy. Leave that alone. Don't take that away. This is day of delivery. So he just delivered this denture to the patient.
Okay.
I think it may not come out.
Well, that's what we want right there. Right?
That's pretty good, huh? That thing is
Yeah,
in
you
there.
don't have to worry.
Yeah. No, they'll come out eventually.
And every single person, as far as a clinician that I've talked to, has confirmed the fits exactly like that, right? Exactly like that. The reason why I believe that paper it's not valid and it's not accurate is what, let's see, because everybody's really nailed it today, which I kind of get excited about because you guys are thinking and you're figuring it out. Not like it's just not Jack telling me. What is something you could do in printing that you cannot do in milling regardless of what they tell you? Yeah, this was a different guy, right? He didn't see the show before. All right, I was like, you guys already know the answer, so you don't count. You cannot mill into an undercut. You can't. You can't. What's a maxilla in a human being's mouth? It's a freaking undercut. So how are you going to tell me that that milled denture is more accurate than the printed denture when I printed into undercut? Now, at least you have the choice if you want to relieve it, but at least I have the opportunity to actually do it. Unlike milling a denture, when you mill a denture, it just leaves a wall of crap where it couldn't get into. And then if you catch it, good for you. Then you're going to arbitrarily and blindly cut it all away because it's fully digital, right? Tell me, is that accurate? No, it's not accurate. It's honestly, the argument is stupid, and I still hear it time and time again, especially at the clinical meetings. ACP, walk on the floor, you'll hear it 10 times. It's just not true. It's completely invalid, right? There's a perfect example of what happens when you mill a denture. What is that big area? That big area was an undercut that the mill said, yeah, I can't get in there, so I'm just going to leave it. And it did, right? And it did. That's what you can expect. So when we're looking at that data, if we're looking at that paper, a couple things that bothered me. Number one, the accuracy part. Take note, in that paper, it was a milled denture versus some Gen 1 crap resin printed on some Gen 1 crap printer. Like coming off the Frozen or something, right? It's not apples to apples. If you want to see a true comparison, and finally, like, gloves are off, let's throw down, then you're going to take a milled denture and compare it to Lucitone digital print printed on a carbon. Okay? Throw Flexera in there. Flexera printed on an Einstein. All right? I guarantee the results of that same study would be off the charts. It's not even apples and oranges, right? The difference would be so massive. It would be so massive. This study I use a lot. Dr. Ingeborg de Kock, when you're talking to your clinicians, Dr. Wendy Clark et al. Over at UNC, it's super important to kind of let them know, hey, oh, by the way, the benefit of doing digital dentures is this. It's going to be fewer post-op appointments. It's going to be fewer pre-op appointments. That all sounds good, right? What's it do? It saves money. It's more efficient for the clinician. It's more efficient for you guys. In conclusion, when comparing conventionally fabricated, digitally fabricated dentures in the pre-doctoral clinic, the digitally fabricated dentures required fewer patient appointments from start to finish. Oh, we already knew this. All right? We already knew this. So again, the workflows. This one, I was part of this paper. It was the UF Biomaterials Research Center. And Dr. Rocha, Dr. Gonzaga, of course, Dr. Martin's in there, et al. Flexible strength two-body, wear resistance, different materials, implant-supported dentures. But that was denture materials that we're taking a look at, right? This one is not out. So this one, that's why I took a snippet, right? I'm kind of cheating here, but it's so juicy I had to throw it up on the screen. I did this paper with the University of Buffalo, and they looked at thermocycling of all of the CAD/CAM digital denture materials available, right? I want you to note, if you look right here, check this out. So the milled denture without thermocycling fractured 10 out of 10 times, 8 out of 10 times. It only bent twice, okay? You want the bend is good. After thermocycling, basically the same. That's kind of not great, right? Look at printing. Look at printing. Look at Lucitone digital print. 7 out of 10 bent, 10 out of 10 bent, 0 out of 10 bent. That one didn't come out so good. That was photodent, right? That was photodent. Fractured, same thing over here. Look at this. Look at this column after thermocycling. Lucitone digital print did not fracture. It only bent. Huh? Do we still want to run around and talk about milling damn dentures? This is silly. I'm trying to bury that one so I can move on to lecturing on some other shit. Let's go. It's insane that we're still having this. It's like a lot of time I'll run, especially like in my gang and crowds that I run in, is somebody's gonna bust up with, well, I don't know about zirconia. I'm like, seriously? We even having this conversation is ridiculous. I don't even want to talk about it. It's the same thing with this. It's absurd. Laboratory process, and we'll go through the whole entire thing. But they really nailed the fuse. Out of all of the dentures we have done, we have never lost a tooth, carded or otherwise. I'm telling you, that sauce that they got in there when you fuse, I mean, it's rocking. It's money. You can 100% trust it. 100% trust it. And that's our denture. So what it looks like. I mean, I'm not a removable technician, but I think it looks pretty. What do you guys think? You guys are pros. Not bad. And really, it was limited post-processing work that we had to apply to it to get it to that point. Now, you can still put the gold teeth. I'm in the South, so I do a lot of those. They're super sweet. But yeah, you could still have your digital denture with your printed LDP teeth and still put the little starlight. There's starlights? What do you call it? Starlights? That's something like that. Again, ceramist. So I'm going to take a pass on that. You want to talk about archiving with your clinicians. This is one of the biggest selling points that we focused on. What can you do with a digital denture that you can't do with an analog hand processed denture? You can't archive the data. If I was, let's say if I was a new clinician, or, well, I'm not a clinician. Again, back to that spelling math thing, I'm not smart enough, but I would scan every existing denture wearing patient that I had that walked through my practice. Scan it 360 degrees. Scan it. They have that denture. If that patient loses that denture, you got the scan, right? Think about this when you talk to them and why I say the workflows are like crack. When you talk to a clinician, don't go in and be like, hey, I want to sell you a digital denture. Be like, no, wait till you hear about this shit. It is amazing. So imagine, this is a scenario you can play out for them. Patient shows up, you're going to go through the protocols to restore a denture. You guys know that better than I do. But it's 5 to 6 appointments I think we could all agree on. Average. Analog. Impressions, bite rim, wax tooth setup, so on and so forth, right? It's a picky patient, maybe some more. You finish the denture. They're like, all right, we're good. Process it. You guys process it. And then 6 months later, the patient had it lost, broke, or stolen. What do you got to do all over again? The 6 appointments from scratch. The second you tell them they never have to do that, just give you a call at the laboratory and you'll reprint one and overnight ship it to them. And then literally the patient will walk in and they will hand it to them like this. It's game over. That's why you see, if you look at our sales, and that's why you see at this meeting, whether you've gotten in heavily involved in digital dentures, whether you've dabbled in it, that's why you'll see here and on the clinical side, digital dentures, digital dentures, digital dentures. That's why I came up with the name, was Hot Pink. Jeff's like, what do we call this thing? I'm like, Hot Pink. Because it is the hottest thing. I'm lecturing all day today on digital dentures. Hello, I want to do something in ceramics, please. right? Back where that's my home. But that's how incredible, that's how big of a deal this is right now, all right? Archiving the data. We do a thing like a 12-month no repair replacement guarantee. This is why Dr. Martin calls it disposable dentistry. Patient wears the denture for 12 months, or for 5 years. Let's say 5 years. Teeth wear out. Well, it's ready for a new one. Okay. The clinician will simply do a wash reline, scan it 360 degrees, send it to you. You can refresh the intaglio surface, reprint it out. Bam! You don't have to worry about maybe it was a picky patient, took you forever to get them there. We do not repair them. I remember when I first started lecturing on them, everybody's question was, can you repair it? The answer was yes, but we don't. It makes more sense to throw it away than to try to fix it. All right? Do we reline it? That was another big thing everybody was always asking. How do you reline it? What materials do you use? No, we don't reline it. You could wash, reline it, scan it 360 degrees. We'll put that into the original file, refresh the intaglio surface, and just print it out again. It makes more sense for me to tell the clinician, throw it away, than it does for me to actually get it and try to reline it. Like hard reline. Doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? It makes more sense just to reprint it with a new intaglio, right? What else can you do with it? This is a perfect example. So Argen's got their bar milling. You can do basically a modern version of bar wrapped acrylic. Just sleeve right over the top of the bar, like this. So super, super easy and really an efficient workflow for those guys that still want a bar wrapped acrylic. You could do full wrap too. It's up to you. I like to do metal to the tissue. Personally, again, I'm not a removable technician. You could do locators. Why not? You print the receptacle in there for them. You can make them as bigger or smaller. That one's actually, it's kind of like, there's not much room in there, but social media. How can you leverage social media to help drive your digital denture business? Social media is the damn work of the devil. We just went through this whole thing. Social media could be the most powerful tool in your laboratory, or it could be absolutely your demise, depending on what you do and how you do it, right? It's the internet. Once it's out there, there's no getting it back. I told everybody earlier, I have naked selfies. You can't get those off the internet. 20, 30 years from now, think about it. I might go check it out to see what like my 46-year-old self looked like back then. They're still going to be on the internet. It doesn't come off. It's a mistake. The second you snap it and the second you know it's going to get posted somewhere, you're like, this is a bad decision. That's what we got to think about when you're using social media in your laboratories to grow your business, right? You want to project a well-curated image of your brand. You're a brand. I know, no, I'm a laboratory. No, you're a brand. And you have an image for that brand, right? Jack's Lab. Absolute. Absolute has an image. It's not lying. It's just actually being smart and thinking before you hit post. When you hit post, you can't get it back, like this one. And then you hope to God that I'm not scrolling through Google Images looking for an ugly digital denture. This one was a digital denture that was finished by an assistant who was advertising the new courses that she was holding on aesthetics and digital dentures. Yeah, I know. The removable techs all day are like, damn, that is bad. That is not good. And so, like I said, it's your first impression. When you put together social media and you hit post, that's the world's impression of you, right? We talked about dating. If you were going to date, you were really excited, you were going on a date. It's probably weird now. It's probably like chat rooms or something. I don't know. But if you were going on a date, you would go and get a nice dress, get your hair, makeup, nails done or something. Guys maybe would get a new shirt, make sure it's ironed. You're kind of excited, right? And then you go on your date because you want to give the best impression of yourself. You wouldn't roll up in sweatpants stinking like BO. That's what you do when you post something you shouldn't post, right? So you gotta think about it. And our social media has driven Absolute through the roof. But we used it properly, okay? We're very well thought out in our posts. And there's all our social media. And it's in every lecture we do. Conrad did videos. The videos are awesome. We actually probably gotta do a new one. But the videos were a huge hit. You could do videos. You could do static posts.
Raptor versus Denture. Hi, I'm Conrad from Absolute Dental Lab. You've probably seen people run over their dentures with their trucks and asked yourself the same thing we have. Why? We realized because it's fun. We're going to run over a Lucitone 3D carbon printed denture, compare that to a mold version and a hand processed high impact denture.
I just selfies are out there.
So here's the results. This is what happens when we run over your denture. Here's what happens when we run over your 3D.
And it was a lot of fun. These were old. This is when we first got into it,
You've probably seen
right?
our YouTube video, Raptor versus Denture.
We put a lot of
that was all
thought
fun
and
and
work
games, but now let's
on
show you the
purpose,
facts.
by
To be fair
design.
to all three products, we cut and measured the high impact acrylic and designed the mold and printed dentures to exactly the same thickness of around 3 millimeters in the palate. To be sure we achieved the same resistance, we placed all three dentures 12 inches apart on a wooden surface. We then drove a 5,200-pound 2017 Ford Raptor over the dentures to see what the results would be. As you can tell by the tooth imprints on the wooden surface, we applied the same force to all three versions. The results were very impressive. The high impact fractured into 5 pieces. The mold version performed better by only splitting along the midline. But most impressive of all, the Lucitone 3D printed denture shipped.
I totally wish I had an awesome accent. I don't. Conrad's, when he does like the voiceover, is just that much better, right? But here's some examples of social media posts. Okay, very well thought out. It's curated on purpose, right? It's on purpose. It's your impression or someone's impression of you around the world, okay? So it's super, super important. If you use social media properly, it's worth its weight in gold, okay? Remember, if you don't, it will come back and bite you. We did webinars. We came out with the protocol manuals. Conrad wrote the protocol manuals. Again, we're going to give these to the clinician. We're concentrating on the workflows, the clinical workflows. They honestly, if you probably asked them, if you told them the workflow, and then you really kind of talk to them about it being a digital denture, they probably don't give a damn. They're like, look at that. I don't care what you make it out of, as long as I can do that. That's the power and the value, okay? And you can download all the protocol manuals are actually on our website. If you go to absolutedentallab.com, you could actually pull them right off there. We did shade guides. We did things like the smile file. We send a card out with every case. Forever, that's our forever smile. So every case we deliver, we send the design on a USB stick. We charge 45 bucks for that. Right? It's like extra money. Whew, did I just upsell that bad boy? For sticking it on the flash drive. Now there are some clinicians that be like, you know what, don't send me any more flash drives. The patients lose them. I don't care, blah, blah, blah. I already know you archive the data anyways, Jack. So I'm like, okay, yeah, you got a point. And then we just take them off the list. But every case gets a flash drive. It gets a smile file. When, why, how are you going to outsource your digital dentures? All right? Super important to kind of take a look at this. When? So if you have not started and gotten into them, if you're still kind of, you know, I want to do it, but I haven't started, I haven't invested the capital, I haven't invested the time yet, all right? So you want to take a look at that. That's when you can go ahead and start using Argen Digital as your manufacturing partner. Because you don't need to go out and start out of the gate with the massive investment. If you're just dipping your toes in the water, right? So then you could just send them to them. You still design them, but you send the manufacturing to them. And you get back a finished digital denture. You got to make a choice. It's called buy make. Has anybody ever heard of buy make? It's actually a thing. You're going to decide when you're going to buy compared to when you're going to make. Meaning, when are you going to outsource it, or when are you, or what are some of the things that happen compared to when you're going to make, right? Cost of making a product in-house. You got to look at the production cost. You got to look at the extra labor cost, the equipment cost, the maintenance cost. This one's huge, the waste costs. So at Argen, if they run they have a whole tray of, it's a print fail. Didn't cost me nothing. Sorry, brother, I love you. But that's on them, not on me, okay? If they break a burr and we're milling a arch out and the zerk gets screwed up, guess what? It's on them. It's not on me. That's a huge benefit. And training. So if you're going to do this stuff, you're going to have to train your team, right? Maybe they're up for it, maybe they're not. If you're going to get started, you can go ahead and lean on them to kind of help carry you for a while. As compared to outsource, product purchase price, shipping costs, and sales tax. It's basically what you got if you send it to Jeff. Like if I send it to Jeff, that's what I'm looking at. So a much simpler list. And where I'm at, so everybody lives in this world in a different place. I float all over this. So I'm in a position to where I'm very flexible, okay? What do I mean by that? Well, there's going to be times that I send them all the digital dentures, the design files, and there's sometimes I don't. And I can move and have freedom to pass in between and in and out of that, right? A perfect example is going to be like if we look at capacity. We'll talk about capacity. If we look at our Synergy system, right? We include a free emergency denture in every Synergy system. Just in case the surgeon has to abort, things go south, we put it in there. It's free. We give it to them. Do I want to use my team at the lab to go ahead and manufacture all of those dentures and eat up my labor and my time? Or it's a throwaway. Because most of the time they load the case. So I send them to Jeff. I don't want to deal with that. It's easier for me. Capacity. If you're beyond capacity, send it to them. Don't back your cases up, right? Don't kill yourself. Just send them out the door. You'll see here, like at this meeting, there's tons and tons and tons of talk about AI and automation. We talked about in the labor market, it sucks. Don't look for people because there are none. And it's industry-wide. I always get pissed off at the bar or restaurant. I'm like, oh, I want my drink. I'm kind of going dry over here. But then I see there's one guy working 40 tables. It's everywhere. We're going to take this technology, we're going to take our relationship with Argen, and we're going to leverage it so that we can relieve some of the stress from us and take away the burden of not having people, right? Or at least good people. Like I said, the guy with the face tattoo and the teardrops just drives me nuts. And he comes in, he wants big money, and he doesn't know crap. It's insane. That's what we're looking at. So if you're beyond capacity, like I get beyond capacity, I'm not going to stress myself out. I'm just going to send the cases out the door to those guys, all right? We talked about this earlier, kind of state of the industry. Again, 80% of the laboratory industry right now is over the age of 45. That's crazy. Only 3.8% of technicians are 25 to 34. So what's that tell you guys? If we think it's bad now, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. My good friend Ashley Barnes is here, and I was talking to him about kind of the same situation in the UK. They're going through the same thing. All right, there is no new technicians coming in. So we need to go ahead and strongly consider and look at what are we going to do to kind of combat this. Everything we talked about is heading that way. Using digital dentures, using the digital workflows, manufacturing them in a more efficient way, using your partnership with Argen. right? When you're beyond capacity, when you don't have anybody. What happens? So small labs, what happens if your guy goes on vacation? You're gonna stop production? Or are you gonna take this guy that's already doing 2 jobs because you didn't have a third person, and you're gonna stick him in there, but then that's gonna sit? Send the cases. Just send them. So it's super, super easy. And you could do that with all this stuff over there. There he is. But Argen Digital is older than 10 years, right? How old is it now? About 12. So send it to Anton. Just let him do that crap. He's very happy to do it. And he'll take it. And then it takes the stress off of you. There's a lot of different ways you can get them here. But everything right now is going to be assembled, right? Assembled.
Yeah, that's actually an old shop there.
All right, so that's something different. I don't have the new one, so we'll just go to this slide. So, of course, I got art. My company, Absolute's Advanced Restorative Team, and my company, Advanced Research and Training. I do have social media, like I said. Please like it. I'm paying my daughters to teach me. So if you go to it right now, please, 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 like hit it. What is it, a thumbs up or a like or a subscribe or something? Do whatever that is. Because I need people. It's like brand new. It's like fresh. It's like a new car. It has new car scent. But there's nothing there because I don't know how to post. So I know. It's okay. My daughters are going to show me. They're charging me, but they're going to show me. So I know there's nothing there when you open it up and be like, Jack, it's just like a blank page that says Art Consulting LLC. I know. But give me this. Did you find it? Yeah, it's blank, right? How many people do I have? How many likey friends? 35? Damn. It's 36. Yeah. I was super pumped up about it. If only I could figure out how to post, I'd be unstoppable, right? So, and remember, if I do post, it's going to be a well-curated image of my brand, right? Of my brand. This is the next course coming up, Zerk course. Thank God. I got to throw a little Zerk in there for art. So the course in January sold out. We had 25 people. It was a blast. And that's like kind of in my wheelhouse. It's zirconia. It's all on X finishing. It's using HT Plus and putting Mio on it and all of that good stuff. The next one, I believe, if that's the right QR code, should be August 9th and 10th. You can always email me. Here's our Absolute socials. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, jack@absolutedentalservices.com. And really, I want to thank you guys for being here today and spending this fantastic Friday with me.